1, 2? Yeah.
Mic check.
Cool. Y'all really don't need a written intro at this point for Margo Cooper, but I guess I'll do it since I did take the time to write it. So let me just say, today's and give me 2 minutes if I might. Today's the first time I've had the pleasure of meeting Margo Cooper, but I've known and admired her work for a long time. 5 years ago, back in 2019, the University Press of Mississippi asked me to evaluate a manuscript of hers called Deep Inside the Blues. Over the past 2 decades, as it happens, I've become one of the people that academic presses go to when they've got a blues project in need of refereeing. I always request anonymity so that I can speak honestly, even at the risk of offending the author. Although I don't enjoy torpedoing book projects with a strongly negative review, I've occasionally done that. And a well-known blues scholar and peer reviewer for UP of Mississippi once did that to a project of mine, David Evans. So I know how it feels. It helped the project. In the case of Cooper's manuscript, I was delighted to be able to write the other sort of report, which came close to a flat-out rave. I've dug back into my files and found that report, and I'd like to quote a portion of it relevant to today's program. Deep Inside the Blues I Wrote is an illustrated, and I'm trying to sell some books here. You do have books for sale? Is an illustrated collection of blues autobiographies, extended blues stories, you might say, each of which seeks to present the bluesman's experience in his own vernacular voice. I'm very impressed with the way in which Cooper rendered these voices. She has maintained fidelity to each subject's spoken rhythms, but has never erred in the direction of dialect spellings. I've met and spoken with 6 of the 9 men. I gigged several times with one of them. She has rendered their voices vividly and accurately on the page. This is no small feat. If you know how badly this sort of thing can be done, you know that I speak truth. I also wrote the following, some of which the publisher ended up using as a blurb on the back cover, and I'm glad that that's there. Her project's larger purpose is to allow these men the space and freedom to speak for themselves at whatever length and detail they see fit, to depict themselves and their life surroundings with a nuance that's generally missing from the stereotype Mississippi blues man, and ultimately to ennoble them, celebrating them as a group, even while giving a chance for each man to emerge as an individual. These men are survivors, indefatigable and resourceful, and although they see the evils of Jim Crow quite clearly, they don't dwell on pain. They're too busy following the siren call of the blues and pursuing their own creative gifts. Cooper's a brilliant photographer, I should note, as well as superb oral historian, and Deep Inside the Blues is one of the very best books ever published about Mississippi blues musicians, and I don't say that lightly. We're lucky indeed to have Margo Cooper and these men with us today. All right. I guess we welcome Margo Cooper.
And Joe.
And Joe. And Trent. And Trent.
I'm Holly Harris. I'm really happy to be here. I'm actually thrilled to be on this campus. I've heard about Ole Miss for many years. I've never been farther than Clarksdale. I did go to B.B. King's area as well, and Ada Bina, where my dear friend Luther Guitar Jr. Johnson was from. But I'm so happy to have met Adam, because many, many years ago with the band Satan and Adam, I was a young radio person, and I got the very first release from you. And I play it. I still play it. And then when Sterling passed away, your partner, I was very sad about that. So I'm very happy to meet you. And everyone else who's here who's involved with Living Blues, and for everyone who's come today. So I'm from Boston. I actually grew up upstate New York on a dairy farm, 5 generations of trumpet horn players. And I now live in Massachusetts, in Salem, a retired educator, proudly to say, but also I have a couple of radio shows, and I'm a percussionist. And last year, at my little advanced age, I joined a band. So I'm happy, and we're now 11 on the blues charts, the One Dime Band, so happy to do that. But today, I'm really excited. But today we're here for a very special reason. And Margo, I saw many times at Juke Joint Fest. Excuse me, I'd gone to Juke Joint Fest about over a dozen times. And I knew she was from Boston, and she took pictures of people, and many of us from the New England area, with her film camera. and we'd get our film, and eventually, you know, and it was great. And then when Luther Guitar Jr. Johnson, who spent 17 years, he's from Ada Bena and lived in Chicago, played with Muddy, of course, but when he came to the New England, and Margo was amazingly helpful in getting him health care, like really serious health care. And he'd since passed away Christmas a couple of years ago, and very sadly missed. But I'd go to her house, and she'd have some backyard barbecues and parties, and I saw the book in process. In this room there were papers, and in this room there were photographs, and I saw the construction of the book. And until it came out, I didn't realize what a spectacular piece of work this book is. A photojournalist extraordinaire. And it's really heavy and fantastic, and we've done a few of these, but never in Mississippi. So I want to tell you a little bit more about Margo. And her coming down here. Beginning in 1997, she started wandering the back roads of Mississippi, photographing and recording oral histories along the way. A contributing writer and photographer to Living Blues, and her projects are incredible. Deep Inside the Blues has been exhibited at the University of Connecticut and the National Heritage Museum. She's photographed many blues artists, including Jimmy Rogers, Hubert Sumlin, Junior Wells, Pinetop Perkins, and others, who are some no longer with us, which is why it's so incredibly important. A finalist for the Artadia Awards, two-time finalist for the Rutenberg Arts Foundation Award, Arts Council grants, special exhibitions, and she studied the Maine photography workshops. In addition to her photography, Margo has served as a New Hampshire public defender, and she's been practicing as a lawyer in guardian ad litem in juvenile court since the early 90s. She's really a remarkable woman, and I'm excited to be working with her here today. And then we have the amazing little Joe Ayers and Trent Ayers, and I'm sure you know about Joe, but just in case you don't, a little bit more. I'm taking this from this fabulous Living Blues release, and Margo wrote this piece. It's really great, and it says a lot about Joe and also Trenton and some of the other folks that they worked with. So just a little bit. Little Joe's kind and compassionate about his blues. 2012 Living Blues Award, Critic Award for Back At Ya, which is an amazing release, right? He worked with Junior Kimbrough for over 30 years as his bass player, longtime player with the Soul Blues Boys and R.L. Burnside. They all work together because they all are intertwined, really. A lot of accolades. That wonderful portrait of you. That's an amazing portrait at the Mississippi Hill Country Blues Alley. Right? There's just so much to say. In Benton, you were born in Benton City, November 28th, and you bought I'm not saying the year, you bought a $4 guitar when you were a young kid and started playing at parties at 15. And Robert Palmer, 1991, you're in deep blues with Joe and Junior for all night long. And his fabulous son, who I met a couple years ago playing at Juke Joint Fest. Trenton, fabulous. So without further ado, I'm going to talk to Margo a little bit, and then what we're going to do is talk to the guys, and we'll have time for some questions and answers, and then they're going to play some music. This is classic historic that these two are playing together for us here today. So Margo, how did you come to get this book together and get these guys? Yeah, come on up here.
I'm here.
How did you happen to come to the blues?
Oh my gosh. Well, the short story is when I was in high school, a friend of mine played Buddy Guy and Junior Wells' song "Messin' with the Kid," and I don't know how you couldn't help but be moved when you heard that. And I mean, you know, I went not from the South or Chicago, but that planted the seed that took decades later before it came to fruition. But after being a public defender for 6 years in New Hampshire, I finally had a little bit of time and went back, took some photography classes, and then I just started going into the blues clubs around Boston and New England. The first House of Blues was in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and we had Johnny D's in Somerville and Harper's Ferry and Alston, the Rhineborn in New Hampshire, and all the Muddy Water guys and a lot of the Chicago guys had been coming east to play in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. And as I got to meet people from Luther Johnson, Willie Big Eyes Smith, Calvin Fuzz Jones, Hubert Sumlin, you know, Jimmy Rogers. I mean, everybody's coming through. It really, what I thought about was, what are the stories behind the music? These guys grew up when there was segregation. These guys grew up when there was sharecropping. And I really, you know, I didn't know much about it, and I just said, I need to go to Mississippi. I didn't think it through too much. It was just I needed to go, and my first trip down was in 1997. And as I say, every trip has been fabulous. I mean, Mississippi is like become a second home through meeting people like Joe and Trent. You know, people are, I found the musicians that I met with, you know, would invite me to stay over, would play music, whatever they were doing, go for a ride with Joe and see the back country that he knows so well and all the history. It's precious, it's priceless, it's life. You know, building relationships between one another, between the next generations, that's the best in life for me. And I say I am grateful, I feel lucky, I feel honored to have been able to work with many, in particular the older musicians. I wanted to make sure that their stories were preserved in their words. I just help, you know, put it together, but it's their stories. And thanks to Brett Bonner, who is here, the editor from Living Blues, who gave me the green light to continue to write in this fashion. All the coverage and all the stories that have been published in Living Blues, and then I felt like I have this material. More people need to know about it, and that's why I worked very hard to put out a book, so that if there were readers, everybody should be a reader of Living Blues, because the stories are fantastic. They are important. They are stories of musicians, many of whom are from Mississippi. And I also believe, as I state in the book, that remembering is a duty. It is a sacred duty. And that is something that spurred me on to make sure that these stories would be preserved and out there.
Wow, this is great. Each time we do this, I learn more. Who was your first interview? What was the very first one when you came down?
Well, the first person that I wrote about for Living Blues was Luther Guitar Junior Johnson, since I had become friends with him up north. But again, you know, as you said, he's from Ada Bena, and I think Sam Carr may have been. I met Sam Carr in 1998, and you know, whenever I came down, I would spend time with Sam and Doris. Doris would always want me to, you know, come hang out, come stay over. I mean, and they were anchors of the South for so many people. And they had a lot of parties, and Sam, of course, played King Biscuit and Sunflower for decades. And from there, you know, I would meet people who were coming over to Sam's to visit, Robert Bilbo Walker. And so I was like, oh, okay, and I need to write his story. But Sam would be everywhere. Sam was at Others. T-Model would be at Others. As we know, you know, when Joe tells his story, I mean, when he would go to R.L. Burnside's house. Trent ended up playing with Cedric, and of course knew the Burnsides when he was young. and there was just, you know, both the richness of the Delta musicians, and then there's a whole nother world in hill country. And again, being fortunate enough, and I wanted to cover as many of the musicians, older musicians in particular, that I could. And
such a gift to have you here, Joe and Trenton. So when did you connect with the Ayers? How far into the book, or how far into the 90s?
No, and Joe was, I think I started writing more about the Delta musicians because I was meeting them through Sam Carr. But along the way, as I said, I first saw Trent with Cedric, and of course, you know, seeing Cedric and Trent was just fabulous, and their music was fabulous. And I kept hearing about Joe Ayers, and then we finally met and started working on his oral history, I think, for about 2 years. And then every trip, forever. And Joe would be oh so patient. Right. But one of the things that you learn, I mean, going to Hill Country Picnic or going around, everybody talks highly about Joe. Cedric, you know, when I wrote my story, I mean, Cedric praised him. Kenny Brown. It was after Joe to do a recording, and that's, thank God, how Back At You got made. And then I've seen Trent and his dad play together, and it's beautiful. And this is one of the hillside, or the traditions that you see many of the children, grandchildren of these musicians, thank God, are continuing to carry on the music, and they can do it both traditionally and in their own way. And the fact that the two of them work together to make father-son legacy, and for them to be here to share their music with you today is part of the gift.
Joe, was it fun working with Margo?
Now we're going to get in trouble.
I want to hear from Joe. Let's hear from Joe.
No, be nice, be nice.
When she came down.
Way to be but nice.
No, you're very nice. A couple of times I came down to Holly Springs and spent some time with Joe and Trenton, and we played some music together. Tell me about when you first met Margo and you were doing this. Did you know what she was doing? Did you know it was going to be a big part of this book?
No, I really
talking to the microphone.
So I'm hard of hearing, y'all. Y'all didn't put that in there. And y'all holler at me, I don't get mad. I tell everybody that. Yeah. I can't hear good. I'm deaf in one ear and can't hear out the other one. Y'all don't know what that all about, do you?
Well, I think one of the things that would be fun for people to hear, and it's in the book, but, you know, who were you listening to? You know, you told me that, you know, you grew up in the home of Candy, your great uncle, and his wife.
No, go ahead.
And you know, what were the records, and what radio stations were you listening to, and
so your early life in music when you were growing up.
Let's see. John Lee Hooker.
John Lee Hooker.
Okay. Lightning Slim.
Lightning Slim.
Muddy Water.
Muddy.
And oh God Almighty. Mostly we played our music ourselves, me and Junior Kimbrough.
Junior Kimbrough.
Yeah,
right.
So Junior Kimbrough was about 14 years older than Joe, but Joe would tell me how the songs that Junior Kimbrough might be new to us, but he heard them when he was a teenager, and he'd be plowing in one field, and Junior would be plowing in a field by him, and then they started. Junior would ask you to do house parties.
Oh yeah, house parties.
Maybe hold the microphone in front.
That's all what we had to play, house parties. There wasn't no club where we were born and raised there.
Right.
What were the house party scenes like?
Open house. Everybody come and have a big ball. Everybody come. We'll have an open house Friday night at Sin City place, or Sin City house. Everybody was here. Come in dancing, good timing, drinking homebrew, corn whiskey, chunk, get into it, get to fighting chunk bricks. They ain't shoot no pistol. Chunk bricks. They had call them alley apples.
Oh.
Just get into it. They had a stack of bricks somewhere where you chunk at people. Yeah.
Was it all ages, all families and all ages, or just a?
Who would come to the house parties?
Everybody in the neighborhood, put there.
And what, can you tell the people what it was like playing with Junior?
Well, once you learn to play with Junior, it was fun. But before then, what the deal was when I first started, I would play my style of music, such as Muddy Water, Lightning Slim, John Lee Hooker. That's when Junior, we were playing just one guitar, but he had a guitar, one old acoustic guitar.
You shared the guitar?
Yeah, he'd get tired, sit on the side bed, and he'd give it to me after he'd found that I played guitar. I played Fat Domino or something like that, you know. And so he'd get tired, and I started playing my style of music, say Jimmy Reed or Sonny Boy Williams or somebody such there. And then he'd take over after a while, after I get the house. He was jealous. Junior was jealous playing the guitar, you know, or people playing the guitar. And so after I get the house bucking, he'll take the guitar in. And truly, we didn't have no drum. We had one old 5-gallon lard can. 5-gallon lard can. We had a bass player. We had a bass player by the name of Billy Jones.
This is a better mic. Okay.
I mean, a drum player. And you turn that drum upside down, you beat the side for one hand, like my buddy from friend, and the top of it for one sound, the side of for another. You put them between his legs and oh Lord. You talking about some good time we had it.
We had talked a while back about there was a club, like Kimbrough's Club.
There were no clubs, just house parties.
House parties. But then later on, there was clubs in Holly Springs?
Later on, it become clubs. After we moved to town, we were back in the country.
So that back in the country, and then outside of Holly Springs?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then you moved into town, and a lot more playing.
Now we was way out from Holly Springs.
Okay.
We come to Holly Springs every month, about once a month. But everybody leave Holly Springs after a straight time of night and come to the country where we be playing there.
And Trent, do you remember this stuff too? Were you part of this growing up?
By the time I was growing up, now the culture kind of shifted a little bit,
okay.
You know, because, you know, by the time I was born, my parents were, they just said they was right before midlife crisis. They didn't hit that yet, but they was on their way, so they wasn't quite young.
Yeah.
So, I grew up in a house full of brothers, not full of brothers and sisters, but everybody, had some type of musical instrument.
Okay.
My sister, she could sing or dance a little bit, and real good. My dad, of course, he's known for what he did. And my brother, he DJ'd, played music, arranged music, produced it, started a label and all this. So I'm just surrounded by it, So
it was a natural thing for you. Was guitar your first instrument?
I don't know. I think I started playing drums first.
Okay.
Then I shifted to guitar. Now at the same time I was playing guitar already, but yeah, I think I tried playing drums. I'm not that coordinated, so yeah, I played guitar.
Talk about Trent. Why don't you talk about you heard different records that your mother listened to, different music that your father listened to, and.
Well, let me just explain it like this. My pa, he's old school blues, Now, my diversity comes from my mom's side. Now, she loves blues too, and she more of a historian on music.
Okay. So
she listened to 104 The River, and they have hymns on there and rock music, storytellings and all this type of stuff. So, funk music. So when, I, in the kitchen with her, all this stuff playing, then at night I might be hanging out with Paul and be out here listening to Altar Boy, Big Boy, Crudup. So, I had a big diversity. Then I go in my grandma's room, she listening to nothing but gospel. Then my sister, she listening to, the Bold Nim and, and all these, the R&B hits, Then going to my brother's room, he listening to Prince and all these type of people. Right. And I had a little bit of, all that coming in.
Was there music in schools for you? Did you have it in the schools here?
I kind of, it was taught, but it wasn't like how,
Not like today.
like how it would be if we had a jazz band or something like that. I couldn't join a jazz band, but, I had the opportunity to bring, guitars to school. I played for the class and stuff like that.
Can you talk about, growing up, going with your dad to like the Burnsides, and I know you started playing young, but
very.
Going out with your dad, hearing the music and playing.
Yeah, that was social media can bring back some memories, because it be sometimes I see someone will post and it be the old brick house out there on Raw Hill Road, and all that type of stuff. And I can just remember some of the parties. And this when I was like 10, 11, then like some of my first memories come back to the late 80s, where he probably can't quite remember, but maybe he do, that he took me to a field one time, and everybody was picking peas and corn and stuff. And I was young, and and he was out there helping them, get some stuff and all that type of stuff. Found out it was the Burnsides. And, and that's how my introduction to them, that was like in 1989, 90, something like that. And, of course I knew who Mr. Kimbrough was, at that point, so.
And when did you start playing with your dad? When did you two start playing together?
Ooh, I was about 7 or 6. 7 or no. I was 6.
What songs were you playing together, and was this at the house?
Yeah, it was at the house, and whatever he taught me at the time, and back in that time I was predominant blues, so it probably more stuff like R.L. Burnside, Junior stuff, and Muddy Water, so because my dad got a very good vocabulary within the blues, so all the big boy Crudup, he would show me that stuff, Elmore James and all this type of stuff, so.
It's a gift that you did that.
Talk about teaching, talk about playing with Trent when you were young at home, and the songs that you...
We never did play. Trent and I played together as of now. I bet you we ain't played together now about 1 or 2 times the whole part of last year.
Yeah.
We never, we just pick up how we practice. I get the bed, I keep over guitar in the bed with me.
Yeah, that's in the current.
And you can hear, through 2 walls. I be playing old acoustic guitar in bed. And he had me play it tonight, and he be laying there listening. He can play it just, he be laying up in his room. He be playing right behind me.
Great.
When I know anything, I pick it up. He just go ahead on. I got you, whatever I play. He never heard me. We never practiced together.
Never practice. You just play.
Never.
Yeah.
Sad was the first time he and I been close to a guitar together, and
since the record release, I think.
Since last time we played last year.
Yeah, that's right.
I quit playing guitar. I hate it. And let me tell you no story. I hate playing guitar. After Junior died, I quit for 3 years, and people kept on hollering, Joseph, start back to playing. Junior
Right.
don't like that. And so, after I found that he willed me to royalties off the last CD we did. Oh yeah, after I got a check and a letter from the University of Memphis. They said want me to verify with my Social Security number. At that particular time, your Social Security number and driver's license had the same number. Well, my Social Security number was the same. My mailing address was the same. With everything the same, that Junior found me on my job. He and our promoter found me on the job one day. I didn't never know what it was. That's before he died. And the name of the song is Do the Rump. That's the name of the CD that we put out. And he wanted to know, they wanted to know my birthday, Social Security number, and mailing address, and all of that. They written it down, jotted it down. And so about 3 or 4 months after he died, I get the letter from the University of Tennessee wanting me to verify was the statement that they wrote me was the same one that I told them. If so, I need the answer, you know. About 3 weeks later, I got a check from them.
Good.
And a credit because I got the contract where he willed me the royalties off that CD. I got a pretty good sized check. I mean, to me at that particular time before I retired, that was a big check. And so then I got bearded back at it then after people started. so I was getting international royalties, internationals, just along due to the sales. And I got the contract at the house now.
Is that it was hard to take you out of retirement, I know. You were not happy to come back out, so this
then
is...
I come back out, and then I started playing the old first song to he and I started playing together. And I played them now. I just about open up on some of them, just a little bit. I just played just a little bit of it, just to get my hands and all that back together. Before I was playing the guitar, I pick up the guitar every blue moon. Sometime once a week in the bed for about 5 minutes, and that's it. Just to keep. I had for last time, first time I played out.
Yeah.
I had Bill Callister up on these fingers. I played just a little bit, about 5 or 10 minutes each night, every other night, you know. So I got my fingers in pretty good shape. You got to have tight fingers, you know, like you can strike a match on the end of his fingers. And a guitar player, I mean, you got to make it hard. Don't just get down there string. You can't make clear sound with it. But so and then I got tired after that, and I said I'm gonna quit again.
Are different? Do you have different guitars? Do you play on different guitars, or mostly this one?
I've got a house full of guitars.
Is this one of your favorites?
Well, this is second time I played this guitar out.
That's the Ibanez. Yeah.
No, I'm just holding for her to hold on.
Or put it in there, okay. Unless you want to come up and sit close to me.
Trent, you want to have some conversation with your dad? Or talk about the...
You can bring the chair up close if you want.
Talk about the recording you two made?
Well, y'all get the answer the question, I sure.
Okay. Let's talk about that, the recordings. Where did you do it, and when was that?
So, I check home. Hold on, okay, so the first part of Ayers, Father Son Legacy, was recorded in East Nashville by me and my friend Matt Gaylord in his studios. And the second part was recorded, I think it was 2 years ago, in our own little house here by our friend Scott Lindsay. And the title is called Ayers, our last name, Father, Son, Legacy. So pretty self-explanatory, you know. So, you know, given the fact that he started back in the day, you know, so it was me having to carry it on and all that type of stuff, you know.
And what kind of music is on there? What did you write the music?
I wrote it, well, my portion, because, you know, when I first started, it was gonna be, I didn't know what type of album it was gonna be in, you know. Well, you know, was it gonna be a little bit of country music? Was it gonna be a little bit of this? Was it gonna be a little bit that? You know. Then I got to thinking, well, I'm looking at my power, and I'm looking at people around me and my family, and I'm like, well, I want the younger generation to know who he is,
Right.
you know. And sorry, Paul, and you know, so. So when I, you know, came to him, hey, Dad, let me, you know, record and whatever the case may be. I wasn't even planning on really releasing it, as far as like to the public, to the, you know, mass production and all that. It was just gonna be like a CD with me, him, you know, on it. And at that time, you know, that's the only last thing me and him haven't done, you know, because in the industry, him and I done everything else, you know. So with that being said, okay, let's me put something like this together, even if I don't release it. you know,
It's historic, and you
right,
need to have it.
Right, and you know, and it, you know, his great grandkids, you know, and all this. My great nieces and nephews and all that will be like, who's my granddaddy? Who, you know? And this how we got our last name. This is where it came from. This why I'm gone so much. This what I do. This is what we do. You know. And so
it's very important. You know, it's very important because when Eddie Taylor died, Eddie Taylor Jr. kept hearing B.B. King's song, and he would tell people that B.B. King was his father. And because he didn't want to say he liked rap and he liked hip hop, and he didn't want to say he liked his father's music. And then when he died, he was so sad. His mother told me he went into the bed and kept Eddie Taylor's guitar. And the mother walked in and said, "You going to play that thing or not?" And he jumped up and he started playing guitar. So it's really important that you do this. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Well,
and tell us about some of the songs and the instruments on there.
Okay, but I would just well, it's very important that we keep this legacy thing going.
Yes.
You know, so
yes.
But as far as the album itself, you know, the first four is, you know, were done by me, and it's really stripped down more traditional compared to, you know, what I'm planning on releasing here lately. Because, you know, if it come down with me and him, I can't just put him in an area that he's not known for, you know. So he's known as a traditional artist. So I had to kind of like, okay, I don't want too many guitars. I don't want no keyboards. I didn't really want too many drums on there, to be honest, you know.
Right.
So, but the biggest takeaway is, you know, I don't know how familiar you are with this cat named G-Love.
G-Love?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, he's playing on the album too.
Okay.
So when I got him as a feature, okay, that's my feature. And Cameron Kimbrough, the kind of like.
Oh, Cam was on there.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He on track number 3. He playing drums on track number 3, and all came together, and you know, and I got to the crossroad where I was finna talk to him about it. I was like, yeah, let me put Paul on here because he can really push the album, and which he did, into that traditional hallmark. I ain't have to worry about, oh, your album is too overproduced and all that stuff like that. I don't have to worry about that because my Paul on there. Right. You know, so.
It's wonderful. I mean, and so can people get it? How can people find it?
You can find it at TrentAyers.com.
TrentAyers.com.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so now that you have that, what are you doing? What else are you doing together?
Well, yeah, we just played Juke Joint.
Very successful Juke Joint.
How you feel about Juke Joint this year?
Juke Joint.
I said, how you feel about Juke Joint this last year?
Oh, yeah, sad.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It was fabulous.
Okay.
It was fabulous.
I let Paul answer that one. So yeah, we did that, and we might be doing some more stuff this coming up year and whatnot and all that. So yeah, we do. Yeah. We might be doing some more stuff, and around the way, I got some stuff that I'm planning on doing. You know. But he don't know about it.
Okay. Well, we won't tell him. No. No. But it's just wonderful that you're both right here today. This is really wonderful and very special. And in a little while, you're going to play for us, right? You're going to play for us in a little while. This book is great. When you've seen the book, you've looked at the book. Does it bring back a lot of memories for you?
Yeah.
What's something that you remember right now from the book that you could talk about? What's your favorite thing when you saw this book?
Just back remember it all.
Okay.
Just back remember
it's spectacular.
But I have to think, from what she become, because like I said, she said 2 years, I said 5. But then, it's a long time. What year you started on me?
I think around 2007. I think I started around.
Oh, okay. Well, then, thinking back to 2017. 2000, I'm 80 years old. From now to back 2017, it's a long time. I try to think back everything that I said.
Did she give you directions to things to think about, or did she just come and ask you questions?
She come and ask questions.
I mean, the way that I did my stories was really what I would call a collaboration. And I refer to the musicians that I was working with as my teachers. I learned from people like Joe, Sam Carr. Every time that I sat down to begin a story, I was learning throughout the conversations, and I would tape record, go back north, transcribe, come back, and ask questions, read over what I had. I mean, this is a lot of work.
Yeah, no, now that's the bad part of it. She would sit down there and make, ooh, good God, I started pulling out the hair about it, strand by strand.
Because to do...
Watch this, this. She would sit down, she'd spend something back an hour with me. She's shutting it down. And she'd leave him, go home. I'd see her a year later. She said, well, we'll finish up next time. So we're going to get back on the next time that I see you. All right. When she come, she started back the same thing that she asked me about, and then now she's sitting there reading what she asked me a year later. Right. A year later, and then if I said something, anything a little different, she said, "Now, do you mean this, that, or do?" Then I got to think, which one did I did say?
Right.
Next thing my mouth started getting long.
Well, to write an oral history, I mean, and especially I didn't live the life, obviously, that Joe lived. I wanted to make sure that I was getting it right, that it was accurate. And so, yeah, I mean, musicians like Joe were very patient, and we would, I might ask a few times to make sure I got it right. But I'd like to read a little bit. You want to say something, Joe?
Yeah, I want to say something. Then after the second time, she go and stay another year. Here she come again with that same thing.
But I'd add to it. I'd add to it every year.
He was sitting over there. He knew I was getting tight. He said, Pop said, that was to make the thing, the story true. That's the way you make story true, about wouldn't be nothing any differences from the first time to last. She's making sure that everything that I said the first and the second time was correct.
Right. And I would like to just share a few, what was, as I said, I came down here to learn and to make sure the stories were preserved. When Joe, I always would talk about what was it like when you went to school or sharecropping. I went to school until I was about 13 years old. The school when I started was in the wood plank church in Lamar. It was just for African American children. There was one teacher for all the grades, 1st through 7th. We had the books that the white kids used when they got new books. And Willie Big Eye Smith and other musicians would tell me the same thing. The PTA got together in the fall every year. They cut a whole lot of wood for the school. The boys had to carry the wood inside and put it in the heater. Girls and boys drew the water. Some schools had a well and some had pumps. We had 2 or 3 buckets. Everybody was drinking out of the same dipper. That's the reason I don't believe there's such a thing as catching everything. Everybody was just as happy and healthy as a goat back in the day. Mm-hmm. Please believe me, it wasn't but 4 months out of a year black kids went to school. I went to school something like November through February. The other 8 months of the year we were working. If you weren't in the field, you were doing something. You knew to get in the wood, feed the pigs and horses, and tend the garden, and all of that. At 7 years old, I was plowing a mule. I mean, these are important things. This is the history of the South, America, Mississippi, and
this article in Living Blues is what she's reading from. It's a magnificent article that she did here on Little Joe. It's really great, and all the family. It's really special.
And one of the things Joe would talk about, and actually all the musicians that I worked with wrote about, is that feeling, the importance of the feeling, and how that came from the way that people grew up, came from the blues, it came from the church, And Joe said to me, and I thought this was as well said as anything could be said, from my experience, all the blues comes from hard labor, black labor, a hard day's work, pulling corn, chopping and picking cotton, being behind the mule and swinging the axes. That and your woman done quit you, or gone with some other man, gone away and left you. You staying at the house all alone. All that falls right back, makes men sing the blues. To sing and play the blues, you have to have the feeling. My feeling for the blues and the way I play the blues comes deeply from my heart and from my life experiences. Playing to get $1, a woman, to get out from behind the mule was a big thing back in the day. You feel from what you've been through, what you're going through. You be singing from your heart and soul because you've been there. You know what it's all about.
So Margo, I want to ask you, as a former public defender, how has this been, has it helped you in this quest? I want to talk about Margo and her history here, meeting these wonderful people and living with them.
I mean, what I would say, I was a public defender for 6 years, and then I've been a solo practitioner for 30 years, doing all court-appointed work. That, to me, is if you have a skill and a talent, and all I wanted to do was help people who needed a voice, who couldn't afford a lawyer. So most of the work I've been doing is representing parents in abuse and neglect cases, serving as a guardian ad litem for kids, serving as an attorney for kids who have what's called child in need of services cases, truancy. But one of the most important things is to learn to listen, to have empathy, to listen so that you can shape a story and advocate, you know, whether as a criminal defense attorney, you know, whether you're trying to get a plea, if you're at trial, you know, trying to, if it's just by judge or jury, you know, you shape the story in a way that best represents the person. And in the process, you know, the relationship with my clients was always strong, always meaningful, because I wanted to give them a phone call.
Oh, the scam.
So we're gonna take,
and that translated actually. I mean, it's the same. Coming down here, I wanted to do the best job that I could for the musicians and tell their stories, and you know, you listen and again advocate, write.
And she has done that. It's when you see this book, it was beyond my expectations. Let's see, who's ready for music? All right then, yes, yes.
Well, I got old. Can't do the thing I used to do. I'm an old man. I remember the day gone past and gone. I used to love you most any time. Well, things have changed, and I done got old. I can't do the thing I used to do. Oh, man. I can't walk like I used to. I can't talk like I used to. Well, I done got over. Well, I done got old. I can't do the thing I used to do. I'm an old man. I ain't got the right tone on this. Oh, that's what it is? Okay, I know something.
Go tell your mama and your daddy too. Go tell your sister what you fixin' to do. Go on down to the dance hall. Go do the romp from wall to wall. Let's do it. Let's do it to the broad daylight. Hey, hold a minute.
Thank y'all very much.